is visible. Is that a light? Another Atadrino sweat. Is it light? No. Hello, everybody. Check it. Is it going? Mary Orenuga, Obalum, Onyoze, Israel, Samuel, Temi, Fusani, Delphina, Tuli, Bumi, Archbishop Gabriel. Hello everybody, Jide Balogun. Welcome. Nice to see you all. Well, here we go for another day today with in our program of Conversation with an Atheist. And even though Innocent is more an agnostic, like he said, but agnostic, but you know, he's representing the interests of atheists. So let us go ahead and invite as many people as we can. And here we are with Innocent, and I'll give him the word now. Let him take over. Innocent, here you come, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be with us again this Sunday. And with the amount of questions that are flowing in, I think I'm really happy to see that people are asking questions more and more about religion, about the concept of God, and to see that the question they have in their mind is being answered, is being addressed. Mm-hmm. You know, most of the times we find ourselves seated in the church where the pastors talk about certain things, probably our challenges, but there are certain questions that are yet to be addressed. Even though Dr. Sunday has a session where he allows people to send in questions to be asked, I've listened to a lot of the questions, and I know none of the question is related. This actually is a very special program to people that are finding it hard, that are battling with their faith. So I got some commentary here by some people who sent. I would like to read them before we go on. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This person say, preach on, sir. Now I know I have not been rebellious as some pastors would have me to believe. I was just using my brain. We cannot be lazy. Why calling God to come and donor for us? I don't know what donor means, but
yeah, why calling on God to come and do things for us?
Okay. So this person is called Chinasa Vigil Okulu.
Yes, that is in line with my book, which says only God can save Nigeria. What a myth. That we cannot just sit down and expect God to come and resolve all the issues for us, just calling on God to come and put all the responsibilities on God, while we ourselves are not doing much about it.
That's what's special about your teaching, and I think people should check out the book. Only God Can Save Nigeria. What a myth is very important that people go on to search. So it will liberate the mind of our people. It will be a big-time revolution. It's a revolution that people need to see, because people have suspended their brain. They fail to realize that God has already given us the opportunity. God has given us the power to do certain stuff. Like I read a very horrible article this morning about a certain woman who refused to visit the doctor. She wanted prayer and miracle instead so that she would get healed with breast cancer, and she ended up losing her life.
Wow.
So
for those people who don't know the book, this is the book here. Only God Can Save Nigeria. What a myth. Only God Can Save Nigeria. What a myth. That's the name of the book. That we cannot just sit down praying and hoping that God will come and save Nigeria. No, it takes Nigerians to take the right decisions, take the right steps to save the country. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's so sad that the woman died.
Yes, she lost her life. I don't know. I haven't verified the veracity of the article yet, but I think is a common occurrence.
Yeah, they are too common to be live because there are too many of such cases.
I had such case close to me too. I lost my best friend, lost his father because his name is Douglas Ahili. The father was being encouraged to take bath with salt water for him to be healed. We don't know what was actually eating him up at that time. Every effort trying to persuade the man to get medical help was proved abortive, and because he wouldn't listen to anything, he just wanted the church. He was being brainwashed. His entire salary is being given to the prophet. So eventually, he lost his life. It was very painful. So I don't have any reason to doubt this story. So understanding that what this person is saying, that he wasn't rebellious after all, that was he was listening to your explanation to what he was saying, that he's asking questions. He thought he was being rebellious because those pastors will reprimand you not to ask questions. They will not encourage you to ask questions. So he thought he was being rebellious, but right now he has seen this program. He feels happy. So, and that people don't need to wait on God. Like this other lady who died of breast cancer, and she refused to visit doctor. I asked myself, I say, these people that are refusing medical help, they forgot that God actually made these resources available for humans to exploit them. God gave the doctor the knowledge. He gave him the resources, the herbs in place. He wasn't foolish when he kept these things. Even animals acknowledge the use of herb. You see a cat, they are not herbivore. They don't eat leaves. You see dogs too, but sometimes you find them eating herbs because it will cure some stomach pain. If you don't know these things, you can go carry on study about it. You'll see that carnivorous animals eat plants sometimes for medicinal purposes. So they get healing. They know that this specific plant is made to heal you when you eat it. They eat them. So why will humans refuse to eat? Why will humans refuse to make use of the available resources that God placed in our disposition for us to be able to get this healing in the name of, we prefer some kind of magic, some easy stuff to do. No, it doesn't work that way. God made these resources available, you pick them and you use them. And even if you use them, you still give glory to God who made them available for us. So this person is Chinasa Vigil Okolo. The person say, the more I consume DSS messages, the more I have ideas of problems that I can solve in this world. DSC has developed me to have global mindset. I can attest to such testimony. Me too. I thought I knew it all. Like I did some studies, but I thank God for the humility that God placed in me. I listen fervently to DSS teaching. There are a lot of things that have helped me to see things more clearly and to understand them now. And this person is Olabisi Olushoga. Say DSA, it is not easy. DSA, you're in level 1000 and most of us are in level 001. This person say, innocent, God loves you so much. I've walked that path before, not as much as you, but nevertheless walked in it. But the truth is a beautiful thing to the soul. And this other person say, is this innocent guy an atheist, agnostic, or why? The title of this program says Conversation with an Atheist, but he sounds like a believer and an atheist at the same time. Is he Confucianist, or am I getting it wrongly? Okay, let me just answer this quickly before we go on. I know many people are eager to hear what you say. I won't talk too much, just little. Yes, atheism, I don't actually fancy the word atheism, and I don't. Agnostic, sometimes I describe myself as that, but I think the word free thinker is very charming. Somebody who is curious about knowledge and a lot of things. I like to describe myself as such person. I'm not static. I don't accept ideology. I don't adhere to any fixed ideology. My mind is very open to knowledge. I read variety of things, from religion to politics to economy to history to mystic books just to understand. I don't know why I'm doing it. I hope it's not very negative. I don't know why God placed that urge in me to do that. I hope it doesn't lead me to damnation. But I just found out that ever since I was growing, I had questions to ask pastors, churches. I was curious. I was very zealous about this Christianity. There was a time I was very radical. I remember there was a time I approached some Catholic priests to try to talk to them, to tell them that what they're in the wrong side of the gospel, because I was a member of this church. They called them End Time Message. It was founded by a certain prophet, an acclaimed prophet. He says his name is William Marion Branham, a very radical group of church members. DSA, you know him. So,
Yes.
so that was the idea. That was my foundation. I don't regret knowing this aspect of gospel because it helped forged my personality today. It made whom I am today. It helped me to escape drugs or joining gangs. So I remember in secondary schools and universities, some of my schoolmates were being initiated into cults, but because of the ferventness I had with religiosity, it helped me to escape some of these things. So I refused to participate in anything that will harm my life. So yes, you can call me free thinker, you can call me agnostic, you can call me somebody who is curious, but I don't like tags. I don't like to be said I'm this fixed. No, this is my nature. I'm very flexible. And I said, if I discover tomorrow that Christianity is very important for Africa, if it will help Africa to develop economically, politically from the level where we are right now, I wouldn't mind to give my life for it. Yes, that's how pragmatic I am. And also, I had an experience with one of my relatives, a very huge personality, but who saw my post on Facebook and was very curious. He was like, wow, I like the way your intelligence. And then he went on to reveal certain stuff that he has never shared with any person and told me that, yes, this is who he has been for a very long time. So I learned from that you can actually live in it, because I have friends who claim to be atheists, but they lost their family. Some of them were being disowned by their family. Some of them, they've been accused of being possessed by witchcraft spirit. So they lost their loved ones, and people, they just hate you like that. So I don't love tags. I just like knowledge. I'm a very curious person. I'm very flexible when it comes to knowledge. I read today. So it helped me not to be indoctrinated. It helped me not to be brainwashed by. So the moment you're saying something, I'm already calculating next. If you're telling me something, I'm already having doubt in what you're saying. I don't know why it's like that. I hope it's not very negative. So, but that's how I lived my life, and it helped me. It got me into trouble sometimes in the classroom because I asked teachers questions, and one of my teachers, I remember telling me that, okay, you asked too much question. I think you want to teach the class today. So the next day he came into the class and asked me to come in the middle of the class, and I was shaking. My body was shaking. Since that day, I stopped asking questions in the class. I felt like the classroom situation was weighing down on me. I didn't like how I was confined to. I couldn't express myself in the classroom. So the entire school system was very, very heavy on me. So yes, asking questions got me into trouble in the church, in schools, and so many places. So I hope it will help me to discover this light, something, whatever is pushing that urge, whatever that urge is coming in. I hope I'll be able to satisfy this someday. We have the first question is about death. And I also realized that you wrote a book about the fear, how to overcome the fear of death. So I'll read the questions, and I'll encourage us to go on to search this book, to try to read it. It's very important. Last time we discussed about pastors who are telling their members that they will not die this year. No, death will not come close to any member of their family. They try to take away so they instead indirectly creating fears in people's mind, thinking that they are offering them solution. But yes, he wrote the book, How to Overcome the Fear of Death. So this particular individual wants to know what's the purpose of death according to the Bible.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to comment on what do you say, on what you said about yourself, on your status as an atheist or as an agnostic, and or what do you call free thinker?
Yes.
Free thinker. Okay. So as a free thinker, the question I will have for you is, do you, because you talk about you liking to ask questions as well?
Yes.
Okay. So if you like to ask questions, do you also like to answer questions?
That's very tricky. If I also like to answer questions, yes, I love to answer questions. Things that are clear for me, I answer them directly. Things that are not clear, I try as the best I can to say that I don't know much about it, and I'm very open to learning new stuff, which is a good aspect of my personality. I think it has helped me in several aspects. Yes, I love to answer questions. Yes,
you like to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay, because this program that we have been having for some time now is all about you challenging me. Why should I believe in Christianity, right?
Yes.
That from what you know about Christianity, it doesn't seem to be strong enough. We shouldn't be believing in this kind of God. That we shouldn't be believing in the Christian God. So what will happen if I will ask you questions in regards to your free thinking or agnostic belief?
I should talk about my belief, my stance.
What about if I'm going to ask you questions regarding them?
Yes, I'll be very happy to answer them.
Okay.
Yes.
If you don't answer, and if you cannot answer them, will you also agree to consider giving your life to Jesus? If I can answer them, or if the Bible answers them.
Of course.
If the
Bible,
if I
find it,
let's play on evil grounds. If I give you 10 questions and you cannot answer any of these 10 questions, but I or the Bible will answer them, would that make you to believe in the God of the Bible?
If I am fully satisfied, yes. And that's the reason why I initiated this interview with you. I was curious about your personality. I understood that you read practically most of the books that inspired me, that shaped my personality. So I was surprised when I was talking to you last week. You told me about Credo Mutua. That was the beginning of my spirituality, because his books, his writings inspired me. In the past, I didn't believe in spirituality. I was very arrogant. I just call myself an atheist. I didn't want to do anything with spirituality. In short, I say witchcraft is fake. It doesn't even exist. In short, there's nothing about spirituality. So then I got to know about his work. He tried to explain certain stuff. Then I sat down quietly, cogitated about nature. Yes. So then, if I initiated this program, is because I'm thirsty for knowledge. There's a lot of things I want to understand about life, about the Bible, about Christianity. I don't hate Christianity. I think it's a very good ideology. I think it's a lesser evil compared to Islam and the rest of the religion. I think you also tried to give me reasons why Christianity is very important. You told me that it's the only religion that offers you that God sacrifices life for you instead of you sacrificing your life for God. Those were lessons I learned throughout this interview. But I'm not sure if I'm fully convinced throughout this interview, but we're still working on it, and I have tons of questions here. Some of the questions were repetitive. I had to cancel them. I had to develop them myself. Most of the questions, I developed them because those were internal questions. I sit down in the night, I think, and I reason. I say, okay, what is it? What is it about? As we go on, as the interview goes, you see some of the passages of the Bible that I've tried to understand what is behind, what inspires some of these passages. So yes, if you can ask me 10 questions and you gave me the answer, and I found the answers really, really satisfying about death, about spirituality, about the earth, about all this stuff, and I feel really convinced, I feel really, really, really satisfied, then I don't have any reason not to. subscribe to the Christian faith.
Yeah, but if I ask you questions, it means that you will be the one to answer first, at least.
Yes.
Okay. But this question, I've written a book about it. These questions. I've written a book about it, and I wanted to ask it. I wanted to write this book and dedicate it to Stephen Hawking that just died.
Okay.
I wanted to call it 10 questions to Stephen Hawking, but we're probably going to call it by the name of the leading atheist of my age. So whoever is going to be the living atheist by the time I publish the book is the one that is I'm going to address the question to. I want to address the question, 10 questions to the all atheists of the world.
Okay.
And anybody that is doubting God. So if you are ready, we can turn the table around.
Oh, I'm ready, dear. So you are so unpredictable. I didn't know that I'll be on the hot seat today, but I'll try my best. I'm not sure. First of all, I want to warn the people that are listening to us. I'm not out to convince people to abandon their belief. I respect every person's stance about it. So long as you're comfortable and there's no fear in your belief, there's no subjugation, there's no slavery, I urge you to remain where you are. In my position, I feel very comfortable in my position right now because when I lost my faith, I lost fear of superstition. I used to have dreams, nightmares of fighting snakes and fighting demons, and I used to think it was my stepmom that was causing those harms to me. But the moment I lost my faith in Christianity and in religion particularly, I lost the spirit of fear. I no longer fear darkness. I can sleep in a very large house alone without any fear that some kind of spirit will come and strangle my neck. So I lost that aspect of fear and I became very, very happy and I feel very, very comfortable now. I no longer wait for some spiritual, heavenly help for me to solve my problem. When I have a problem, I try to think about how to solve it practically. So yes, I won't answer to try to convince people. And I don't doubt God. I don't doubt there is a transcendent energy that governs this world. So yes, I'm ready to answer your question, dear sir.
All right. So the first question I will have for you is this. Who determined the country and the conditions of your birth?
That's some tricky question. Who determined the country and the condition of my birth? I'm not quite sure I can answer that.
Okay. You want me to go to the next question?
It's a very interesting question. I haven't prepared for it. I cannot say it's an accident, of course. And like I said, I do not doubt the existence of transcendent energy. I do not doubt that there are laws that govern the nature. There are laws that regiment our life. But the only problem I have is with the concept of that law. So in other words, I believe that there is a God. I don't know if he's a woman or a man. And I don't think this God has a form. I don't think this God mingles in the affairs of men. I just believe, yes, there is a law and we are following it. We happen to be black, someone happened to be white. So my country, my condition of birth, I'm not sure I can be able to answer that, but I do believe firmly that there is a law that governs nature. And the only problem I have with that law is the concept, which is the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. I don't believe they explain this law enough for me.
Okay. So if you are a free thinker or atheist,
yes,
or atheist or agnostic, so what is your role in the place of your birth, in the place and country of your birth? What was your role in determining the place and condition of your birth? What was your role in that?
There's no role. I cannot determine where I'm born. I cannot determine, just like I cannot choose my parents or the country where I was born. I found myself there. I cannot explain why I'm a Nigerian,
So
for instance.
you didn't play a role in that?
I didn't play any role in that.
Beautiful. So now, how come you think you are smart, not just you or any human being is smart enough to question the one that played a role in that?
Okay, like I said earlier on.
So that is just for you to think about. But let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
Anybody that you ever respected or anybody that ever doubted God, is there any one of them that ever played any role in determining the place and the conditions of their birth?
I doubt very much.
Okay, next point. If you are a thinking person, and I know you are a thinking person, does that now begin to open your eyes to see that we are too limited and we are too small?
That's very true. I agree to that.
So, can you now see the foolishness of doubting God and not believing in God or spirituality or whatever you call it, when we don't even know anything?
Yes, I think that's a very big mistake that most humans do, to disbelieve in God. Like I said, I do believe.
Wow. So, next question. Do you now see where the Bible says it is not just pride to say there is no God, but it's actually madness that a madman says in his heart that there is no God? It takes a madman to be so pompous and to be so self-glorifying and self-effacing to the extent of questioning something that he doesn't even know anything about, when he cannot even solve the easiest question, the easiest. How can a man begin to think that he is something of significance, and has any kind of intelligence or significance at all, when he couldn't even play a role in his own existence, in his own coming here? And now he got here, and then he's beginning to say, I went to school. So I doubt that you are even there in the first place. I wonder why he didn't doubt it when he was in the mother's womb. This is just to help you understand that I know much more better than all those books I've read. And I could help all of them. All those philosophers, all those atheists, all those agnostics, I could help them if they would be humble enough to listen. But unfortunately, many of them are not.
That's true.
That is just one question. If you want, I can. That's just 2 or 3 questions I've asked. If you want, I can continue.
Yes, you're right. It's foolish for any human to. I listened. One of my favorite philosophers, I have one of his book here. It's called Cosmos. It's one of my favorite book. I just like his style of writing. He called it ontologie materialiste. It's in French. He said he's a radical materialist. He tried to explain everything according to science, according to nature, and everything.
I have an answer for him too, because I read materialism, and I got distinction in materialism.
Oh.
So I have an answer for him. It's a bit I cannot do.
So he called himself a radical materialist.
Yes.
Even though he talked about an example where he went to India, I don't know which side, that he met a shaman.
Yes.
And this village, it was an improvised journey he had. No one was there to pre-warn them that you're expecting a visitor. He just traveled, just met some local people. And the man held his hand with his eyes closed and told him things about himself that he couldn't believe it. This is a philosopher. He told him that he's a philosopher. He told him about his career, his life, his wife, and things that will happen. He told him that he lost his father. So he was shocked. He was surprised that how could this man know so much about me? Did any person told him before I arrived here? But of course, this journey was unplanned. It just happened that I just met some locals, and this man is telling me about my life, and he told him things that will happen to him in the future. Yet, even after hearing this, he still doesn't believe on spirituality.
It has one explanation. So, it's called pride.
Yes, it's called pride. So I think it's very foolish for one has to come back to be humble, to look at nature, look at the force of nature. There's a place in Alaska, somewhere in the US, where two oceans met, but you discover that they have two different colors. But you'll be wondering what is holding them apart. The water, they don't mingle. We also have this same water in Nigeria, the River Oshun and the River Oshobo. For those who know about this, you will see that this water, they splash together, but they don't join each other. For Nigerians who know about this. So you ask yourself questions, what is the force behind this? What is the law that is holding these things? So it's foolishness to say there's no God. And my problem is the concept of that God that I want to know constantly. And I keep reading the Bible. I see a lot of errors. I don't know. I call them errors, at least to my own understanding. Probably, I don't know much. Probably there was no better explanation. Probably my scope of understanding is very limited. And I need better understanding. I need better explanation to say, okay, yes, this is how it works. Or probably I need some kind of spiritual experience, some lightning, I don't know, some dreams, some vision, probably to be able to believe that these things.
Just a little bit of common sense, my brother. If you want, I could ask you another common sense question.
Yes, go on, Daisy.
And that's why I said I wrote this book for the toughest atheists that will ever live on the planet Earth. I have it in Russian, but I'm going to get it in English. I'm going to translate it to English. And I'm going to challenge all atheists, all people who doubt my God, to try to answer me. They've been asking questions and challenging Christians. And here come I coming to challenge them. Next question.
Yes.
Next question is this.
Okay.
Who determine the date and the time of your birth? Elementary question. Elementary.
Yes, the question sounds simple. It's very, very complicated to answer.
Sounds simple but complicated to answer. Okay?
Yes, exactly. So
you will not tell me who determined the date you are supposed to come to this world?
Certainly not.
You will not tell me who determined the time when you were born?
No.
So
I cannot tell you who determined when I go back to.
You can't?
And I cannot tell you who determined that I come out as a human being and not a fish or a tiger or some lizard. I don't know.
You cannot.
I cannot tell.
Is that cutting you back to size?
Well, science offers certain solution about it. Religion too.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. I want to ask the biggest of the scientists to give me an answer to those.
That's tricky.
That's why, because these are the questions that I'm asking, and I've written a whole book about these things to help cut to size all pride of men that think that they know anything. So, another question that is connected to that, if you cannot tell me
yes,
the place of your birth and who determined it, which you also admitted that you didn't play a role in determining the place and the conditions of your birth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me answer you that the place and condition of your birth, including the date and time of your birth, is connected to the destiny and purpose or reason for your birth. Which means if you cannot tell me the answers to those questions, You can also not tell me the explanation for your appearance. Well, somebody knows the answer. And that answer is intertwinedly connected to why you're here. And that's why we cannot know too much to neglect our manufacturer. Because manufacturer determines the purpose of the product and the functionality of the product.
True.
So the product will be extremely arrogant to now say, who are you, the manufacturer? I am the big guy here. The reason why you said you don't know the answers to those questions is the same reason why any product, this cup, for example, will never ever dare to challenge the factory that made it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't even know the conditions of its appearance. Same with this microphone. Because it's not made for itself. It didn't even know when the decision to make it was made. Because the product is always much inferior to the manufacturer. And the product, just like you, could never ever be able to explain, and would never ever be able to explain, because they belong in this different category and different dimensions altogether. They live in different realms. The producer and the product. That explains the reason why, like I once told you, why your mouth is not on your head, on the top of your head, or on the sole of your feet. Because somebody who put all that together had put everything in a way that only he could make them to function to that perfection. And that's why all the medical institutions in the world are still trying to explain and even understand what makes us tick. Okay? If you don't know how you came about, the conditions of your appearance, that is to say, you just discovered yourself here. You just discovered that you are living. That's why every human being who just discovered that they are here and they are existing must humble themselves enough to bow down and stoop low to acknowledge that fact that, okay, I just discovered I'm here, so, hey, who sent me here? And what do you want me to know about this life, and what is your purpose of sending me here? What do you wish for me to accomplish? And it takes humility to be able to do that. And that humility is what men most often despise to their own detriment. If you wish for me to continue with my questions, I could as well continue, sir.
Yes, it's very interesting. It's a very provocative question. I hope this question is not just directed to me, but directed to the people that are listening to us and to those who will come across this interview in the future times. It's very important that we ask ourselves this question and try to find the answer to it. As it is right now, the only thing, the only concept, the only idea that seems to provide answers to some of this, just like the African religion couldn't answer some of this question, neither does Islam that came later, or Buddhism or other religion. Christianity tends to offer a solution to answers to some of these questions. but it's still questionable. That's what some of us are battling with. You cannot expect me to believe on a literature work that the person who created me, like the previous interview that we had, it was very tough to be able to admit that this because we talked about the complexity of the universe, we talked about the complexity of the human anatomy, the nature of the animals, the things that are there. The Bible seems just pretty much very little to explain this deity, this energy that made human. That is the problem that we have today, that the Bible is not sufficient enough to explain this transcendent energy that we have. So it's not all about, of course, every human should. The only evidence we have right now is the Bible. The Jesus Christ never commissioned anyone to write his work, for instance. He never commissioned anyone. And when he just came in to do his assignment, some people happened accidentally to be writing and recording some of the things he was doing, and that was how everything was collected. But he never commissioned anyone to write it. He just wanted it's like a passage for that specific period of time, and for the people who live in that epoch to be able to experience him. What I'm demanding.
If you feel that my questions will help you to think,
yes,
I may as well continue asking those questions.
Okay, sure.
If they might help you in the future.
Yes, it will help me, certainly.
So, you say I should continue?
Yes, continue the question.
The next question for you, sir, and not just for you, but for anybody that dare to question the God of the universe. And this might be the greatest help any atheist, agnostic, or free thinker will ever get. Because somebody is compiling questions for them to think about. Just like they like to challenge Christians and Christianity, well, let them think about these things. Very elementary stuff. Just like they ask elementary questions like, where is God from? But if they would think properly, they would know that even in these my questions, there consists in itself the answers to their questions to Christians. And so here comes the next question.
Okay.
What role did you play in determining who was supposed to be your father and mother?
Of course not. I couldn't have played any role. I might as well say that I came in, happens to be here by accident, certainly. I cannot explain what happened, where I was before I came in here.
You can't?
So here am I.
You can't explain?
Of course not.
You didn't know, you didn't play any role. You couldn't, you are so knowledgeable and you couldn't play any role. You are so big, you are such a big man, so educated, and you couldn't give me explanation? You couldn't play any role? You mean that all the scientists, all the writers, all the great philosophers, they are so powerless in even determining or providing answer or solution to questions that are some of the most vital to their own very life? Now, there are so many questions I could come asking. I could come asking and telling you questions and making points about the galaxies that are over 500 billion. And I could begin to ask you, why is the Earth, 500 million times smaller than the smallest galaxy? I could begin to ask you questions that don't pertain to you, but that will just make you to be feeling like you know something. So let's say you didn't play any role in the formation of the galaxies, because you are not big enough for that. And because you could say that doesn't pertain to you. Let's say you couldn't play any much role in matters of, existence, like, the explanation for day and night, and the explanation for eternity and things like that. Let's say those things are too big. But I'm now talking about matters that are the closest matters to you as a human being. They are probably, earlier on before I came online, I was talking to you about education, about university. Now, those are things that you could say they don't all 100% depend on you, because other people there, the university has a director or a counselor, and people take decisions. So it's not in your power. You live in a country that you cannot decide what the president will say or the parliament will decide. There are things that are beyond you as a human being. But fewer things are as important to you, yourself. Even more important to you than your child. More important to you than your wife. More important to you than the house where you live in. The very things that are closest to your heart, that are most pertinent to your personality. That just like saying that as you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth. That is how these things are so close and are so important to your individual personality. Everybody cares about their teeth, how they look, about their skin. Everybody cares about their good look, about their names, their identity. So if you pay attention, you will realize that the questions I'm asking are the questions that directly relate to your personality and identity. You cannot say you are not interested in them, because they are the things that they inform who you are. They are the questions that determine your personality yourself. You cannot say you are not interested. You cannot say, those things don't pertain to you. You cannot say that those questions are, questions that are too far away from you. So that's why I'm bringing it home. Why are you trying to discover where God is? God is far. And who is God? When you cannot determine who are you. I'm not saying go and determine who Angel Gabriel is, or who Satan is, or who continent something is, or who, those ones are too big for you. Let's start from you. Let's determine who you are. Let's ask you questions about yourself. Things that should pertain to you. If you as anybody, if you are anybody of significance in reference to God or in pertaining to God, anybody in their common sense would have said, I would have liked to inform. I would have liked to determine myself who my parents are. If I was as powerful. If I was as significant, it would have been something that I would have liked to pick. Out of the 5 billion people on earth, I would have liked to be the one to pick and to make that choice. Because it's my life, my dear. It's my life. It's not my parents' life. It's going to be my life. So my parents shouldn't decide that thing. It should be me to decide it. It's my life. It's not my parents or even my country that should decide for me where I will be born. I want to know where I will be born. I want to be the one to decide where I will be born, because I will live the life, my dear. But if even in this absolutely obvious and absolutely, personal questions of identity, I am helpless, absolutely helpless in influencing, not even in taking the decision, but even in influencing the question or the decision, then how helpless am I? Because I couldn't even help. Okay, let me ask you another question. What about the colors of your eyes? At least those are very, very personal. Or colors of your skin. Why didn't you play a role in determining that one? Because that is very personal. Because you carry it all with you. For all the time you are going to be here, you are going to be forced to live with these things. And how can you be forced and be humiliated and be submitted and be subjected to things that you didn't pay attention, you didn't play a role in, and you still say you are in charge? If you couldn't even take the decision on when and how and where. So what do you know then?
Nothing.
It's very bright. So you are a very honest seeker. Because many people are not honest enough because of arrogance. They will not be honest enough to even answer that question. We are so limitless. You should know that even the ability for you to question anything, you don't decide it. It is because somebody else that determines where, when, and what is giving you that temporary permission to even question. If you cannot play a role in determining who your mom is going to be, and hardly would there be anybody to be closer to you than your mom. And I wonder if you could play any role at the point when you were 1 day old. How helpless were you? You are at the mercy of somebody else, of other people. Just like you are at the mercy of other people when you are 1 day old, 1 month old, 1 year old, 2 years old, 10 years old. You were always at the mercy of others. And you never thought that you were anybody that time. That is a life lesson to every human, to always remember where you are coming from. And to always know that just like I needed to be dependent, and I needed to depend on another in the most vulnerable times and years of my life, so also will I need forever to be dependent on another. That is the essence of faith in God. I'm not even going to go to a place or to the time when you are in your mother's womb, and for you to tell me what were the conditions and the events that were happening for the 9 months that you were in that womb. So I personally, as an individual who is a believer and who chose to become a pastor and an advocate for God, I'm not too foolish, and it's not out of foolishness that I took that decision.
To believe in the Bible.
Yes. And to even be an advocate of the Bible, and a proponent of it, and a propagator of it. Because these questions were the questions that I came up with. And these questions are the questions that I only could find answer in one place. And today, I will surely give answers to everybody upon these questions. And because I found the answer in the Bible, that is why I stand tall for this God of the Bible.
Okay.
But I am not done if you are still having enough grace and patience to listen to more of my questions.
Yes, please go on, because I wanted to try some questions I do have in an attempt to try to challenge this notion, but I don't think it's very necessary. So,
I've been answering your questions for 20 hours.
Yes,
20 hours, I was the one answering your questions. Only now, I am asking questions.
Okay, go on. Go on. It's very important that these questions are really provocative questions, so I think you should go on. And I believe you have the answer to this question, so I'll be eager to hear what you have to say about it.
And the answer is the fact that I proudly declare the Lord Jesus Christ as the way, the truth, and the life. Because in Him, I found the answers. and solution, just like billions of others who did find the same answer in the same place. So, if you say that I could continue asking you the questions that I think will help you to be humble and to be at peace with your master and maker. And not just for your sake, but for the sake of those yet unborn. Maybe they will never ever have opportunity to ask these questions.
Was the on?
Sorry, guy. Yeah. No, should that force. Sorry, they didn't plug the battery for my computer. And the computer was going down, and that is unlike me. Or I would not. Thank God I noticed it. My assistants just forgot. I don't know. They went to sleep. Thank God I noticed that. So if you said I should continue asking my questions, and going back to what I've already asked you earlier, somebody is asking, is this live? Oh yeah, it's live. We are very much live. I'm live from Ukraine, and Innocent is live from Paris.
And please, those who are listening to us, please share this message as wide as you can. You don't know who you will touch with this message. You don't know who will come across this message. Invite your friends. Do the needful, because I'm really, really challenged with the question that DSA is asking. So I would like you to continue with the question and really, really, really ponder on that. And I think I'm getting to the point to understanding the reason for this interview right from the beginning. That I told you that after all the knowledge and the things you know about, why do you still adhere to this Christian faith? And I believed that before the end of this interview, before the end of all these things, we'll be able to have answer to it. I also had an idea I wanted to propose to you, I don't know, that we put this in a book form, in written form, Conversation with an Atheist, because people will see it, they will see a bunch of books like this, Conversation, and they'll see the questions, similar questions that they have in their mind. They can be able to open it, read it, and find questions to now find answers to some of the questions that they have. Maybe we'll have volume 1, volume 2 as the interview continue, which I think a lot of people can be able to access it. So I don't think this is for me. Like I told you, this is a record for people in the future times and people who will come back to read them, to be able to learn from them. This question you're asking me is humbling. I must admit to this, that people have to sit down to reason and to think about it. So please continue with the questions.
Well, if you permit me to continue, I will just quickly run over some of the things I've already asked. That the first question I asked Innocent is, who determined the country and the conditions of his birth? Mm-hmm. Then I asked him another question, what role did he play in determining the country and the conditions of his birth? As an atheist, and this is the question I ask all other atheists as well. If they cannot answer these questions, they must be humble and be broken before the maker of the universe. Otherwise, it will be total. It will be tantamount to madness for them to question this God, to whom belongs all the answers. The next question I ask Innocent is, who determined the date and the time of his birth? So far, the answers I've managed to get from Innocent are negative. No way for me to know. Then I ask him another question. Out of all the atheists that you know, the philosophers and the great minds, who question my God and their maker. Which one of them could answer these my questions? He said he doesn't think there is any. I said, okay, next one. Then I asked him the next question, do you know and do you acknowledge or realize the fact that the place of your birth, the time of your birth, the conditions of your birth are intricately connected to your purpose of birth, or for the reasons, or to the reasons of your birth, and to the assignment behind the mystery of your birth. So, if that is so, which means it is only the man or the person that determined the place, the condition, the time of your birth, that knows, and that will be able to tell you as well the reason for your birth. Then I said, just like in everything, in every product, and in every process of production, this cup was produced by a manufacturer. The cup itself will never be able to answer those same questions. What are the conditions of your production? What brought about your appearance here, cup or microphone? Why were you created? Who created you? Who thought of you? Any product will never be able to do this because it has a maker or a manufacturer. I said, just like this cup is helpless to answer those same questions, so are you helpless. Yeah, no, you and any other atheist is by no means better than any of these products that we see around us. We are indeed helpless. Then I told him, even the ability for you to answer, to question God, where is God from and things, is only because you have been permitted to do so for a while. It's not because of your power or because of your smartness or because of anything that you possess by yourself. Then I went ahead to tell Innocent that you don't really possess anything and you don't really know anything. The only thing that makes you to think that you know something is what is called pride and arrogance. Because I said, I'm not asking you questions about the galaxies. I'm not asking you questions about oxygen. I'm not asking you questions about the planets and the continents. I'm asking you questions that are intimately related to you. I'm asking you questions only that are about things that are so intimate to you, so personal to you, that this kind of decision should never be trusted into any other person's hand. No other person should be trusted with this, with the answers to this question. For example, you will not, if you have the choice, you will not allow anybody on earth to determine for you who will be your parents. And that's the next question I asked Innocent. But because it's even your parents, you will not trust them to determine for you who will be your parents. You will not like them to be, because they are not going to live your life. You are going to live your life. So if you had the opportunity and the chance, if you are so great, or any atheist, or any agnostic, or any free thinker is so great and so knowledgeable, it should be able to take part in deciding who he is and by what means he's going to come here and where he's going to be born and who is the father and the mother that will determine who he will be and how he will look. Things that will remain with him forever. Things that, most of the things that he will never be able to change or alter. And that is why if he's really somebody that he thinks that he is, and is as significant as he feels that he is, he should be more interested than any other person. Why are you trying to get me answers and to trying to question what is this galaxy, what is in heaven, is there heaven or hell? Why should you try to determine for me if there is heaven and hell? hell or not, or if there is God or not, when you cannot even determine for me who is going to, for yourself, not even for me, for yourself, for your own interest, who is going to give birth to you. When you cannot even determine what are the conditions you would like to be born into. You couldn't even decide not for me, for yourself. And you couldn't even determine for yourself what are the colors of your eyes and the color of your skin and your height. If you are so helpless to answer these questions, then it is only logical to agree with the words of the Bible that says, it is madness to question and to say there is no God. It is madness for a creation, a product. It is madness for this cup to question its manufacturer or its creator. It is madness for this cup to now say, no, I don't have a creator. Nobody made me. Everybody will just be laughing and say, madness doesn't have a limit. It is the height of madness for this microphone to say, no, who made me? Why should say anybody made me? Those kind of questions are not in the prerogative of products to answer. Products, they belong in a different level, on a different parameter, on a different world, on a different different horizon, different parallel, different world to the world where the creators are. It's the same with God and with us. We are in different, parameters. We're in different, what do you call it? Ismerania. What do you call Ismerania? Yeah, I forgot the English word.
Realm.
Yeah, we are in on different realms, like with God. Yes, Drugo is slow. Dimension. We're on different dimensions with the Creator. We don't belong. We don't belong on the same dimension or realm where we could talk together. We belong on these different realms and dimensions. We cannot talk. We don't belong. Just like this microphone cannot talk and decide about, it cannot sit, it doesn't sit in the boardroom. Same with this cup. It doesn't sit on the boardroom to decide what is going to happen about his creator or the conditions of his creation. So now that Innocent has given me the go-ahead to continue with my queries and questions, I will therefore ask the next question as thus, which I had mentioned a little bit. Who determined for you, for your life, the colors of the shape of the eyes that will follow you for the rest of your life? Why couldn't you play any role in determining the colors of your eyes? Because that is very personal. It's more personal. All the decisions you take. Let me tell you something. Not just you, but every human being, including myself. You don't take any decision at all. Nothing depends on you. All those things that you think that depend on you, they are all secondary questions. They are all questions that don't relate to you and to your personality and to your existence. What are the questions that you think that you take and you decide on? What are the decisions that you think you take in life? You take decision of, what university to go to? Is that a decision when you cannot take the decision of what eyes to have? Is that a decision when you cannot decide where to be born? If you cannot decide what parents should be your parents, who should be your mother and your father? Those are secondary. Those things that they don't have direct relationship with your person. What are the decisions you take? Who to marry? then you just the same way you could successfully divorce. That doesn't have anything to do with you. Those things don't determine who you are. All the decisions you think you take in life don't have anything to do with you. They are too minor. All the very important questions, all the most important questions about you were not taken by you. Were not even taken by your parents. All the questions that have anything to do with you and that determine who I am looking at right now, who I am seeing right now, everything that determines who you are, you couldn't even influence it. It's too small to influence. You didn't even play a role. You were not even invited to be a guest or an observer when those decisions were being taken. So, if you couldn't tell me and you couldn't play any role in determining the color of your eyes, because you carry it along with you. You don't carry your wife along with you. Even if you carry her along with her, she goes to the toilet, you remain in the room. Or you go to the toilet, she remains in the room. Nothing is as intimate to you as these things I've asked. When it comes to wife, you don't even have intimacy with her compared to these questions I've asked. When it comes to your parents, you don't even have intimacy with them compared to this question I'm asking you. Because these are the things that really pertain to you, that are really intimate to you. All other things are just secondary. All other decisions that you ever take in your life, they are no decisions. But the most important decisions of life that directly relate to you, you are made helpless. You are rendered incapacitated so that we will not question the master and think that we are anything. But most people neglect these questions. They don't even want to think about it. And then they begin to paint a picture of illusional picture that they are something when they are nobody. They will not address things that relate to them, that they are supposed to be interested in most of all. Then they will be going to fly in the air and be chasing after some mirage and illusions, trying to prove they are somebody, when the point has already been made that they are not. Next question, sir. I'm looking at you. You have an accent. The reason you have that accent is because you were born in a particular place at a particular time. If you could have helped it, you would have done something about it. You tried, but the traces remain. Next question, sir. I look at you and I see your skin color just like mine. Maybe that was your choice. It wasn't. Just like it wasn't my choice. It's a factor to make me submissive and humble. And acknowledge to whom I'm obliged. I have tried to be humble as much as possible in about 20 hours of discussion that we've had. Even though I knew these things, but I was quiet and I was humble to try to help provide answers to an inquisitive mind, and that is just because of your own humility as well. Most people who are proud and who don't want to listen and who think they know something, my response to them is to be quiet. You think you know? Keep on proving your point. But if you have studied me very well, you will know that I'm not foolish to have chosen Christianity. And if a man like me will do it, believe me, there's a reason behind it. And that's why I've seen that you are sincere enough to be confronted with these questions. Next question, sir. I think I see that you are not too tall, even though not too short.
6 feet. Close to 6 feet.
6 feet?
Close to. Just some little.
Short, under 6 feet.
I'm 1.9 meters.
Under 6 feet.
9 meters. I don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah, under 6 feet. Under 6 feet. Okay.
And
Are you taller than your mom?
Yes.
Are you taller than your dad?
No.
No. So who decided that? I don't think it's your dad as well. And I don't think it's your mom. But most importantly, it's not you.
True. Certainly.
The person who determined these questions and the answers to this question is the one we call our God and Maker. And his son is Jesus.
Someone can also argue that food. Some people can argue that their biological ancestors to the food you eat determines the height.
Yeah,
of you.
That's why I started with who determined first of all where you are going to eat that food. Because the fact that you were born in the place you were born, that's why French people don't eat what you ate when you were growing up.
True.
It all came back to the same question I started with. Nobody can argue these things. Because the place you were born is what determines what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And the people you are born to is connected to what you eat. And since you couldn't take those decisions, well, you know the answer.
I was asking myself similar question today because I was making research on the book that I kept writing, but I kept having self-doubts. Just one single book is taking me almost half a year now. I say, okay, if one single book is so tough to write, what is DSA doing? How is he able to produce 1, 2, 3, even more than 100 books? So I was asking myself this question about how we need substance to regenerate our body, to make us grow. How we need water, first of all. How we need carcasses. That's the word I employ in my writing. How to use carcass of another life. So you eat another life to keep you alive, to keep the life regenerating.
If you don't mind, Innocent, maybe I should finish my questions, then we could debate next time.
Yes, go with the question.
Should I go ahead? Should I go ahead? Yes,
and be conscious of the time we have.
That's why I wanted to quickly finish with the questions.
Okay.
You woke up this morning, sir. How are you sure you are going to wake up? Who determined that? Next question. Did you go out of the house today, sir? Did you go out of the house, or no? You didn't go out of the house.
Yes, I was out.
You are out. Okay. I'm sure you will not be able to tell me how many times you'll be out this year. Of your room and of your house. Will you be able to tell me the numbers?
No.
Okay. Who took the decision, and where is the guarantee and assurance that each time you went out, you will always come back? And where is the guarantee that when you go back to bed to sleep, that you are going to wake up? We are too helpless. And you cannot tell me that the decision, that if it had been your decisions and your choice to know if you are going to wake up tomorrow, anytime you go to bed, that you will be able to decide to wake up or not to wake up, that it would have been a thing that everybody would have liked to be aware of. And it would have been a decision that everybody would have liked to take. But even that is withdrawn from you. What if everybody could have been able to guarantee himself that when I step out of the house, that I will assuredly come back? Everybody would have liked to know that for the next 50 years or for the next 30 years. If you cannot answer that question, it even shows how helpless we all are. God himself intentionally made us to be limited, even in those areas where we must be more interested in being in charge. And if we are not in charge of those very obvious, those very personal issues that relate not to our wives, not to our children, not to anybody, but to us, then how come we thinking that we are anybody or we are somebody? Next question. Maybe you could tell me the date and time and conditions of your death. When are you going to
My
leave?
death?
When are you going to leave here and how? What time of the day? You mean you don't decide that? You don't? Okay. If you said no, it means that decision has been taken away from you. So, somebody else does. I've asked so many questions today. I don't know how many in total, maybe 20. But I would like to leave it at that. Because all of us finished this journey at that point. The point of departure. The point of death. The time, the condition. And the date that none of us could tell. Fortunately for me, I can tell. Because I've spoken to the one who decides. And he has informed me about my own. But that's why you must have a relationship with him. And when you are in that intimate relationship with him, with the Father, who is my Father and who is your Father, mysteries about life will be less. You will walk in light and not in darkness. And you'll be able to help all others. Voila. That's all I have for today because our time is over and we have to try and come back tonight in the next 30 minutes. So maybe you'd like to say something before we go.
Thank you, DSC, for the question. I didn't know if you planned this.
No,
no.
It just came impromptu because we started talking about something I can't remember.
We started talking about somebody who asked me a question if I'm an agnostic. Funny enough, there's no time to read what I wrote, but it's something related to just what you said about. If you notice, the first question was what death means.
Yes.
And then I picked a passage in the Bible that explains certain relations that human had with the sons of God. So I wanted you to talk about. So I don't know. There's so many things. These questions are complicated for us to answer. And I'm eager to hear what you have to say about it. I really want to have the answer to these questions. And I believe not just me, to the people that are listening to us. And it's what I call, there are intrapersonal questions, there are extrapersonal questions, which can be classified as such, that we ask external questions about things that doesn't concern us and things that concern our life that we can't even explain. They are very, very important.
I think at this point, it will be foolish of me to try to give you answer to those questions. What I would like you to do is to go and ask God and have an experience with Him. Tell God that these are the questions Pastor Sunday has asked me. I want you to give me an answer. Show yourself to me. By the time you ask Him, sincerely and innocently and sincerely, you're just like your word says, innocently and sincerely, and you ask Him persistently enough and sincerely enough, and when you are really serious about it, and God notices that you are not joking, that you are serious, you will not just get the answer, but you will get the experience as well. And what I think is that the experience even supersedes the answer, because the experience will come from the Spirit, and Spirit is always what do I say? Is it what the word supersedes the mind?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it will supersede, the Spirit always supersedes the mind. And since it's a spirit, you need something beyond the realm of the mind and the realm of the matter. And that is the realm of the Spirit. And that's where the experience will come to you from.
How do I do this? Through retrospection, through prayers?
Two things. One, sincerity. With all sincerity, just ask. I don't call it prayer. Just open your heart 100% sincerely and ask God, are you there? Are you really real? Give me, show me, reveal to me, help me to get to know who you are for real, to have that experience and encounter with you. Ask as long for, let me tell you a story. When I came to Russia, I wanted to run back. And the reason I wanted to run back is because I didn't expect to see this kind of Europe. Because the Europe I had been exposed to was England and America. So, but what I saw here was below that. So I still had a scholarship to go to Columbia University in America. And that it's still a very prestigious university, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. So I wanted to run back to quickly go and move to America. Then I met this man who said, you know what, God doesn't do anything by accident. Why don't you challenge God? And I was used to easy ways. And I was saying, so where it is, where can I go and ask him? I thought I would just go and ask him 1 minute and he would just ask me, easy way, like McDonald's or like coffee. He said, no, you be asking him in your prayers. I said, but I never had God speak now. How will I know? He just keep on asking in your heart. Just talk to him and say, why did you bring me here? But be sincere about it. God honors sincerity. So, you know what I was doing? Before I eat, eating was my gauge. So before I eat in the morning, I will ask that question, God, please, I want to know this answer. Why? Before I eat. Then in the afternoon, before I eat, I will also ask, I just use eating to remind myself that I must ask this thing. So 3 times a day I will be asking. And then 2 times in the morning I will pray. In the evening I will pray. But when I'm eating, I'm asking, God, ask me now. How will I get answer? I didn't even have an idea. Why did you allow me to come to Russia? I did that for about 2 weeks straight, every day. Just asking. I just needed to know, curiosity. I wanted to know. Because I didn't hear God, I didn't see God. But to me, it was I was asking myself. It was like I was talking to myself. But I knew it was, if it's God, it should be hearing me now. But I was not talking out loud, though. Nobody heard me. Just in my heart. And after about 2 or 2 weeks or so, I had an experience, an encounter, and I think that's what you need. So in your case, your own question is different, which is God to reveal himself to you. And if Christianity is true or not, and if Jesus is real, and if it's true, let him reveal himself to you. But it has to be your question, it has to be your desperation, it has to be your honesty, it has to be your sincerity, it has to be the innocence of your heart. It has to be your action, not mine. If you sincerely, innocently demand, ask, aspire, demand, and inquire, definitely you'll get an answer.
Okay, let me quickly share the screen with you, because everything you just said, this advice, okay, I didn't write, it was already prepared on the ground, and here it is. I want everyone to see it. These are the questions if you can see here.
Wow.
This is one of the questions.
When did you prepare them?
This question, I prepared them this morning. I woke up, I refused to go to church just to make them.
Are you serious?
So, okay, look at some of the questions. Okay, here's one of the questions here. What do you think about the person of Innocent Magaji? Do you think he has found the light he's searching for, or he will eventually find it? What's your advice to Innocent Magaji and his like-minded friends? So,
and I didn't even know that you have this answer, these questions, and see how God has led me to give you the answer.
Yes.
Without even you telling me.
Exactly. So these are the questions.
Beautiful.
It was
beautiful. Beautiful.
So everyone you see,
I believe that there is the divine that is leading us in the one that decided your place of birth, my place of birth, time, condition of birth, the one that is determining when we are living here and what we're here for, is the same one that has guided me to go this way. Normally, I don't like to do that. I like to follow order and instruction. And I didn't even know I was going to do this today. And then to go to even answer your question without even me knowing that you asked that question, I see the hand of God, sir.
The question where I was almost exhausting the list of the questions they sent me, about 70-something questions, and some of them were repetitive, so I just deleted them. And I sat down, I cogitated this morning, and I said, okay, let me develop these questions. And then when I saw my assistant was telling me, ask questions to this about some personal questions about yourself and hear what you have to say. And that was when I developed them. So hearing you answering them and addressing them, I don't know what to say.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much. I will be ready to come back in the next 20 minutes.
Okay. Please go on and share these messages to people that are watching currently. I encourage us to do that. Thank you, DC, for the time for wanting this interview. Yes, thank you. And see you next few minutes.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.